moving into the second block of the show, going to talk NBA, going to talk college football, going to talk NHL. Got a little Ram Jam, a little Black Betty for you. It's a great song. How can you not love Black Betty? Okay, so the subject matter's a little weird in the song, but you got to love the jam. I mean, just listen. That's just a thing of beauty right there. So, jumping right in, I want to talk about the NBA. And I haven't talked a lot about the NBA lockout because I'm just kind of disgusted by lockout talk. It bores me. It bores me to tears. But I keep seeing this, and I just can't ignore it. I can't not say anything about this because it doesn't seem like anybody else sees this. But there is a massive misinformation campaign going on in the media. And it's because David Stern is such a shrewd negotiator that all these networks are afraid to oppose him. Because he's got a very good product. The NBA, there's no question about it, that it's a very good product. Very marketable, recognizable stars. It's very visceral sport. It's right there. You know, you can see the players. You can identify with them. It's not like football where they're covered up with a bunch of equipment. You know numbers. You might know the faces of some of the more popular players. But for the most part, you don't recognize NFL football players. Same thing with baseball. You see those guys, but you know they're so far away. There's so many games. There's so many people on each roster, and the lineup changes every week. And in basketball, you've got marketable stars. Even the second-tier guys are recognizable by most folks. So he's got a very marketable product, and it's one that everybody wants to have. And so these networks, I think they're afraid to oppose David Stern. I think they're almost afraid to present a balanced and fair view of this for fear of what's going to happen to them the next time it comes time to negotiate a television contract with the NBA. And all we've heard in this whole thing is how the players are unwilling to compromise. The players are unwilling to budge. The owners want a 50-50 revenue split. The players won't budge off that 53% split of basketball-related income, BRI. Derek Fisher talked about BRI. Derek Fisher was interviewed after labor negotiations broke off on Thursday night. And, you know, his point was like, look, we're here. We're not going anywhere. We're here to negotiate. We want to get a deal done. And the sticking point is that the ownership group is unwilling to talk about anything else until the players agree to a 50-50 revenue split. So until they say, yes, we're going to concede this point of this 50-50 BRI revenue split, we're not willing to talk about anything else until you concede to this. And there's two reasons this is ridiculous. The first reason is glaringly obvious, right? Because this is being called a negotiation. And it is anything but a negotiation. This is one side bullying the other side and painting the other side to be the villain. You need to understand that in the last deal that the NBA and the Players Association came up with, in the deal that's now expired, the split last time was 57-43 in favor of the players. The players had 57% of the revenue last time. They've already conceded. They've already come more than halfway down. They're at 53. Quick, do the math. What's 7 divided by 2? It's 3.5. So a true compromise in this instance would be, hey, we were at 57. You want 50? We'll come to 53.5. The owners are saying that's not good enough. You got to come the whole way to us. You got to meet us at 50. And we're not doing anything less than 50-50. And I look at this and I go, look, this is a product that you don't have the NBA without the players. Good luck. Just ask college basketball. Ask college basketball what your product looks like when you don't have star-level talent. Because that's what it is. These players come in, they play 1 or 2 years in college, and then they're off to the NBA. And you can see that the product in college basketball has suffered as a result of that. You can see that the level of play is not as good as it used to be. Gone are the days of epic college basketball teams, the teams in the 80s, the teams in the 90s. These guys stay until their junior and senior year. They've been playing together for 3 and 4 years. Those days are gone in college basketball, and it's because the stars have left. Now, I do think it's ridiculous that the players are saying, oh, we're going to create our own league. Yeah, good luck with that. But just on the other side of that coin, too, is good luck having a basketball league that doesn't have any star players. Good luck with that. And essentially what Stern is doing is he's bullying the players in the media. He's saying they're unwilling to compromise. They're unwilling to talk. They're willing to compromise. You just don't like the compromise that's on the table. And the ownership group is unwilling to move past that. So that's not a negotiation. That's one side holding the other, the whole process hostage until they get what they want. Last time I checked, that doesn't sound like negotiation or compromise. That sounds like bullying. You know, another thing you might have caught in this whole deal is Bryant Gumbel. Bryant Gumbel had a commentary in which he made reference to David Stern as a plantation owner. And that's been just blown way, way out of proportion at this point. And look, you'll never hear me make a slavery reference. You'll never hear me make a Hitler reference. You'll never hear that out of me because I think that's inflammatory. And I think it's over the top, and I think it's ridiculous to compare anything to those types of things, those types of events in history. I mean, there's a reason that they're so memorable is because they were so horrible. So there's nothing quite on par with that. But unless Bryant Gumbel is willing to come out and clarify it, we don't really know what he really meant by what he said. But what I take away from it is the plantation owner worked very simply like this. This is my product. This is my property. You're going to work here, and you're going to do what I say. And so I would like to believe that what Gumbel was driving at was more of a mentality and not in any way implying that the players are slaves, but rather implying that there's a mentality of you have to do it this way because you're the property of the ownership group. And so that's kind of what I take away from that. It's very inflammatory, and I'm not defending Gumbel in any way, but I do think there's some merit to what he's saying. Remember, the other thing too, and this is a bit of an abstract point, but you know, there were plantations long before there was slavery. I mean, plantations are not a new thing. They weren't a new thing to the Americas. They weren't. I mean, plantations go back a long ways, and you've got a lot of situations where people worked on plantations as, you know, indentured servants, as sharecroppers. Not even to mention the fact that there were actually black slave owners. So, I mean, this isn't quite as, you know, it's not quite as black and white, pardon the pun, but it's not quite as black and white as all that. But I think the underlying point is that Stern is lording his power over the players at this point. It's not good for basketball. It's not good for the game. I'll tell you what, if I was the NHL, I'd be going to NBC and going, as soon as baseball's over, as soon as we can, how do we get more hockey on mainstream television? Because this is a huge power vacuum. Once baseball is gone, you've got essentially no sports between Tuesday and Saturday. You'll have your occasional college football game, the NFL play on Thursday night, but for the most part, there's a void there that the NBA usually fills. If I was the NHL, I'd be begging them. One last point on the NBA before I move on to college football is I would just ask you this. If you really believe what Stern and the ownership group is saying, if you really truly believe that they have to have this split because teams are losing money and it's an impossible proposition to make money as an owner in the NBA, I would ask you this. Why do people keep buying NBA teams? The Philadelphia 76ers got sold earlier this week. If it's such a bad product, if it's such a loser of a game to be an owner, why do people keep buying teams? It just doesn't financially make any sense. And that's not the Atlanta Hawks have been sold. You know, I mean, it's happening a lot. So it just kind of makes me wonder. Moving into college football, got our game of the week coming up here. Some honorable mentions. Number 4, Oklahoma State at Missouri, 12 p.m. Eastern on FX. Nobody's really paying attention to this game. I mean, it's really, really obscure, but because most people think Oklahoma State's going to run away with this thing. And, you know, I think this one could be closer than people think. You know, everybody knows that OSU has a high-caliber offense, but Mizzou's got the ability to put points on the board too. And OSU's got a decent defense, but this game is in Columbia, and Mizzou is literally a different team at home. And all 3 of the losses for the Tigers this year have been on the road to undefeated ranked teams. Oklahoma, K-State, and Arizona State, which at the time Arizona State was unbeaten. You know, so it's pretty interesting. The other thing that people might not recognize is, you know, this is an early game, and that hurts the traveling team as well. The game of the week we're watching, though, is number 6 Wisconsin at number 16 Michigan State, 8 p.m. Eastern, ESPN. I mean, Michigan State knocked off unbeaten Michigan last week. Now they're getting a crack at Wisconsin. They're going to look to control Russell Wilson, the quarterback for the Badgers, the same way they controlled Denard Robinson from Michigan. And, I mean, Michigan State's now ranked in the top 4 in all of the 4 major defensive categories. So this is going to be a tough game than I think Wisconsin thought at the beginning of the season. So, but the Badgers are averaging 50 points a game, if that matters. So that's it. This song is Dragging the Line by Tommy James, number 54 in 1971. This has been the Sports Underground. Whatever y'all do, wherever you do it, keep right.
You have been listening to the Sports Underground podcast. And don't forget, we always welcome your take. So hit Baron up on Twitter at bgraft, that's BGRAFFT, or send us an email at sportsunderground@gmail.com. If you like a download of this program, check us out on iTunes. Remember, come back again next time and get some.
Dragging the line.